Hey, it's Dave Salvadore of Blueline Design. Thanks for coming back to my channel. This week, I'm gonna start a 3-part series on environmental design in a world. I've been hired by many clients to design their environments that they would use at things like Comic-Con, Toy Fair, even car shows. So here's how I'm going to share with you my design process. One of the things that I was a big fan of when I was a kid was playing a tabletop game called Space Hulk. It's a lot like the movie Aliens, where there are these Marines and they're fighting aliens, and it's a lot of fun. Nerd. Well, recently I dug that game out to play with my sons. I even went as far as to finish a 3-dimensional version of the game. And as I was building all of the parts of the game, I realized these are a lot like little movie sets. So one of the ways I thought it'd be cool to share with you how I would design an environment is to take one of the missions in the Space Hulk game and design a special room for it. There's an unknown life form inside of a room. So I thought, hey, it'd be cool to share with you how I would draw, build, and then paint this little tiny environment. So for this particular project, I would be working for a director, creating a little miniature of a movie set so that it could sell the idea that he was wanting to communicate if he was filming the movie Space Hulk. I wish! This is the first part of the process, which is coming up with a drawing to communicate that idea. So let's get right into that today.
Direction. A large room in the Space Hulk has been infested with unknown life forms. There is only one door in and one way out, a ladder in the back of the room.
For this project, I started off doing 2 quick thumbnails to figure out which angle would be best to design the concept. Each angle usually has its own strengths and weaknesses. For angle A, the bird's eye view, you can see the lay of the land better, but it's not very dynamic. For the B, low angle, it's more dynamic, but it's usually harder to see everything. For this project, I decided to move forward with angle B. The goal for the project will be to design and build a model that is similar to this. I've already gathered several pieces of model parts that will be interesting to incorporate into the concept. For the unknown life form, I'm going to use a technique that I learned where you melt straws to create organic alien plants. So for this project, I thought it would be fun to return to my roots of working with traditional mixed medium to do the concept art. So I bought a pad of toned gray paper and I began sketching out the concept using a white pencil. While designing the room, I will reference the model parts that I had picked out to incorporate them into the design. It was quite the challenge to work in traditional mediums where you don't have an undo button, so one of the most important things was to make sure that I stayed in good perspective. And I thought it would be cool to make the final model part with a removable front wall. And so the idea from the brief is that this alien life form has taken over the room, so I thought it'd be really cool to have all kinds of vining and strange plants everywhere, very similar to almost Aliens or Invasion of the Body Snatchers, where there's just that alien growth woven into all the mechanisms of the room. Once everything has been sketched in, I switch over to one of my favorite ink pens to begin tightening up the concept. And one of the temptations with a drawing like this is to get into all of the nuts and bolts of the mechanisms, but that really is not the point of the concept drawing. It's to communicate quickly an idea and understanding that when I begin making the model, the idea might change, but this is going to give a solid direction. I thought it would be cool to make one of the panels being pushed up by plants that are growing up from the floor as well. In order to create a little bit of mood, I decided to put in a black background. This also helps to isolate the parts of the concept so that you can see them easier. I then switched over to some warm gray markers to add a little bit of tone and shading. Once the tones are laid in, I switch over to Doc Martens Bleed Proof White and a brush to add in some highlighting. While working on the unknown life form, I keep referencing back to the original alien plant miniatures I did, because this is the technique that I'm going to use when creating the final model. The reason why I used the toned gray paper is so that when I got to this part of the design process, the white highlights would add a lot of nice contrast to the concept. So I add some notes that will remind me of how the piece will be put together, and I'm really looking forward to the next part of this, which is to start building the model. So I hope you enjoyed watching that video. If you wouldn't mind hitting the subscribe button and the bell notification for part 2. I will be building the little movie set. Until next week, keep drawing, keep designing.